Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be flipping through December 2025 in my 2025 Hobonichi Cousin Avec. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Okay, you guys, another month, another year down. I'm so excited that I finished out this book strong. I had a pretty good month in here. So I'm going to flip through December in this video primarily because I have done monthly flip throughs for every month and I want to have the complete flip through and I want to focus on December in my commentary. But I am also going to share another video probably in a couple weeks of a full flip through of the entire book with my thoughts about how this book worked for me and how I feel about it and just kind of looking back on it as a whole. So stay tuned if you want more of that. So today let's just dive right in. So I did finish up the 2 tracker pages I was doing at the beginning. This one is what I'm going to continue in 2026 in my new journal. And basically what I do on this page is I write out just kind of a highlight of that day's daily journaling. If I have a media review, I put that with blue highlight. And if I was traveling, I put that with pink highlight. I also do a photo of me at the bottom. And I realize that on months when I'm not traveling, I often forget to take photos of myself. So I think that this is a good practice to kind of remind me to take photos and be in the photo. Then here because this is a 6-month book, there's only 6 months in here, but they did do a full year of these spreads. And this was like the first 6 months of 2026. And I didn't need that. If you were using this as a planner, that would make sense for like future planning. But for me, what I did was I redated it to be the same months that are in here. So July through December. And I did this for my temperature log. I have this key here, which is on a sticky note so you can remove it. There isn't really a good place to put it where it doesn't cover anything. But essentially I did the high and the low temperature. This is in Fahrenheit because I'm in the US. And then I did my color coding so you could kind of get a picture of what the temperature was like. December obviously got super cold. It gets colder even in January. It doesn't get that hot where I live, but we did actually have quite a few 90 days, which is pretty rare for us. It was a pretty hot summer. And then whenever I traveled, I put a little asterisk because I did the weather from wherever I was. So like obviously it doesn't get into the 80s where I live in October. It's more like this is what it's like. So this was because I was actually in Marrakesh on those dates. So you can just kind of see the locations of where I went. Usually it's New York City because I do live in upstate New York and I go down there pretty frequently. But I also went to upstate New York, further north than where I live. And then I took a trip to Spain and Morocco. So I just wanted to document that on here. Okay, let's go to my monthlies. The monthlies, I continue doing them the same way I did in 2024 and 2025. I really was happy with how this one came out. I kind of fell behind on this one and I did it probably in like 2 or 3 sittings to do the entire month, which is totally fine for me. It's pretty quick and easy to do 1 icon per day, but I don't do it on that day. And so I'm going to continue that in 2026. I have fun kind of picking something that fits the day. So like here, I went to New York City for these 2 days. So you can see that. I was making chocolate chip cookie dough as snacks. This was Christmas cookie baking, a lot of journaling on the weekends. Here's just like a lazy day. I took my Good Driver class online for car insurance, a lot of happy mail. And I think I mailed my Christmas cards that day. Mental health type of just like stress, home improvement. We got a new bathroom mirror. So I could just kind of get an overview of things that were happening. Obviously Christmas. And I don't know, I just really like seeing the month at a glance like that. Okay, let's go to the weeklies. So if you will recall, if you've watched my previous videos from this journal, I was doing something different in every weekly spread. And I will do a full flip through of those in that full flip through video. And I think I'm actually going to do a separate video too that's just like focusing on vertical weeklies. But when it came to December, I decided to do this from the perspective of my December daily. So if you're not familiar with December Daily, that is a scrapbook project, but it really is any type of memory keeping. It can be a journal or however you want to do it. But essentially you do 1 story per day for December 1st through 25th. And it's been a way that I kind of experienced the holiday season for a super long time. This project is organized by Allie Edwards. And so she has a lot of content on it. And I created a little mini album this year. But I also wanted to do some journaling about my topics in here. So I basically set this up in advance with each of my days numbered for the story and then wrote out my stories. I did not keep up with this as much as I was expecting to. I did okay the first 2 weeks. The third week, I did some of the journaling. I just never filled out the rest of them. It's totally okay. I just wasn't feeling it. And then for the last week in here, I did nothing. It's totally blank. I just was not feeling the vertical weeklies anymore. I'm not doing them in 2026. I had a lot of fun with them in this planner. I had a lot of fun with them in the past with how I used to use them, but I'm just ready to move on. So that's the end of that. Now let's go to my dailies. And this is where I feel like the bulk of my planner really shines, or my journal. So I always start the month with a vision board, and I'm still continuing to do that in 2026, even though it's a little bit of a different format. And then I move into my daily journaling. I feel like I've definitely found my style in here. I think now my 2026 journal is a little different, so it's switching up slightly, but I'm bringing some of the same things. So I like doing large lettering. I do a lot of journaling. I don't necessarily write about my day. Sometimes I do, but often I will just write about whatever's on my mind. So here was just like what was inspiring me. And this was about a snow day. I'm just taking it slow. Sometimes I do some like more creative mixed media stuff. So here I made these snowflakes out of magazine cutouts and paint pens. And I think, yeah, that's a magazine cutout sticker, just having fun. On the 3rd, this is where I did my Wrapped. So I don't use Spotify, but they do Spotify Wrapped, and that's a super popular thing. And this is the only time of the year that I'm like, oh no, I should use Spotify, but I don't. I use Apple Music, and I am not switching. But Apple Music does give you a kind of Wrapped of a sorts, the same way they just don't call it that. So I decided to kind of put my reflections in here. So my top song of the year was Opal Light, and my top artist of the year was Taylor Swift. A lot of minutes and plays logged here. And then I did my top song of the month. So I just printed out screenshots of the album and wrote out kind of what song it was and the month. And there's no December because the Wrapped comes out obviously in November or at the beginning of December. So you don't know yet what it was. I actually should go back and check and see if they added that. So then on the 4th, I got my new Cocoa Daisies. So I swatched my washi, just some journaling in here. Sometimes I'm adding in these little micro stories throughout the day. It depends on just kind of if I'm at home, if I can journal during the day, or if I'm coming back and filling it in later. I got some more washi tape here from Rifle Paper. I'm obsessed with washi tape, so I get a lot, and I usually swatch my new ones in here. Here is just a reflecting story about how awful UPS is. And then I drew a UPS truck. I want to do more doodles in here. It's just, I'm not the best doodler, but I know it's something that gets better with practice. So this one, I think I was okay with how that came out. And when I do doodles, because I'm not, the most creative in that way, I will usually Google image search what I want to draw and use that as inspiration. Here was a day here's a freebie thing from Rifle Paper. It came in my order and something I print off the internet, but I hadn't done any journaling this day. I came back and did some reflecting here about December daily and kind of what I want to do for that project next year. I know that it's a whole year away, so I probably will change my mind a bit, but it was just kind of my thoughts right now. I add my book and media reviews in here. So here was this book that I read that I actually finished on this day. Often I don't put it on the correct day when I finish it just because it depends on where there's space. This was a very good book though. I really liked that one. Here I didn't finish journaling, totally fine. I got my new Everyday Explorer journal sub. I recently subscribed to that and I haven't really done any focus content for it. I'm not on their team or anything. I just purchased it, and so I'm just seeing if I will fit that into my routine, if I like it. I'm not sure if I'll keep it after the 6 months. We'll see. Then this spread I did using the Cocoa Daisy Inklings collection, which is probably my favorite ever. It's all journaling and scrapbook related. And I had fun like using the washi and the stickers and just doing some reflecting on journaling and like my lineup going into the new year, plus also just kind of like whatever was going on these days. Did not even journal. I went back. Sometimes when I don't journal, I will print out things. So I did get my 2025 Flighty Passport, which is a free app that I use that tracks all of my flights in the year. And it kind of gave me like my overview of everywhere, of all of my flights. It, for some reason, thinks though I live in Madrid because I did the most flights out of the Madrid airport just because of the way that my trip worked and because I have multiple airports that are close to me. So I didn't always fly in and out of the same one. So I thought that was a little funny, but otherwise it just kind of recaps everywhere that I flew during the year. And I'm probably going to do the same in 2026. I initially thought I would come back in this page and journal about like my travels and stuff, but I didn't feel like it. Totally okay. Here was a day off. So when I am at home and I'm not working, I tend to journal throughout the day. So you can see here, I like add a little bit of the different things that happened during the day, adding some doodles, printouts and stuff. And so it tends to be different from like ones like this, where even though I was home this day, I just wasn't in my journal. So it just filled in later. And I'm totally fine with both of those. Here, going back to using my fountain pens here, I really love how this one came out. This is still like my favorite ink. I have it in, this is one of my favorite TWSBI Eco pens. I absolutely love this one. And I have the Starlight Stories, I think that's what it's called, ink from Ferris Wheel Press in here. My absolute favorite ink. I'm going to be so sad when I run out, but I was coming back to that. So you can see a lot of these, actually, I've been using gel pen, and I've been using just like the chunky Uniball 1038.38 pens. I absolutely love these. If you don't like the chunky pen, they do make it in like a normal pen size, and it is the exact same ink, but for whatever reason the chunky one, I don't know, I like it, so I use both. On the Sunday I got my Coffee Monsterz Co order, so swatching that, of course. This time it came with this, like, I got this vertical washi. When I picked this out, I did not realize it was so tiny, but it is super cute, so hopefully I find a way to use that. And then this was a Sunday, so I was trying to do kind of like a reflection and reset, but then the day kind of got away from me and I didn't finish it, and I just never came back to it. Starting the week out, again, back with my gel pen, and this was just like a crazy busy work week. Just some reflecting on that. A lot of these titles here, I'm using the Sailor Shikiori markers. So that's this one that was here. And I absolutely love these. These are my favorite. My only complaint is there's not a ton of colors, but the colors that they do have are really pretty. And I use them very frequently for my titles. And then the outlining I do with the Tombow Funazuki hard tip. And then this writing like this is the Tombow Funazuki soft tip. So I went to Brooklyn. So I just did some journaling in my hotel room, added in some ephemera. And then this day was all day work in Brooklyn. I did go to Blick Art Material actually on this day, but I just wanted to put that in here. And these days were like, then I was back in the office. It was like a crazy busy day. We got Chinese takeout, so I put that in here, but I didn't do any journaling, and that's okay. Okay, so then back in here on Friday, I need a break. You can tell based on the fact that I wasn't in my journal how busy I was. And I was just so exhausted, and kind of just reflecting on that here. On Saturday, just some more journaling. I felt so much better just being at home and relaxing. And I really like how this page came out, just adding in some reflections on different things, highlighting large words for things that I was doing. Printouts of screenshots, always putting those in here, and putting in ephemera. I mailed my Christmas cards. Back to this pen. Another long work day, and I didn't want to have another blank page, and I didn't want to journal about it. So on the 24th, I just did this, which was kind of relaxing, and I really love how it turned out. I used the Tombow Funazuki soft tip for this one. And you can see mine's starting to run out of ink, and I kind of like that like brush effect. 24th, did some reflecting on Christmas Eve, and then adding in a book review because I had some extra space. And then here I'm journaling again with my new TWSBI Eco that I got on Christmas. I got for Christmas. So this is the espresso with bronze. Again, it's in an extra fine. I love TWSBI Ecos. My one complaint with these though is they have really bad quality control. So I have 2 fine tip ones and 5 extra fines, and every single one writes totally different. Some of them are kind of duds, and I kind of wish I had returned the ones that were duds, but it's too late to do that now. These 2 are amazing though. I think the ones that end up being duds are the ones that are not like any specialty colors. So these are all the extra fine ones that I have, and those 2 are amazing. This one is also amazing, and these 2 are the ones that are kind of duds. One is super scratchy, and one is actually like kind of thick. So just something to keep in mind if you want to get a TWSBI Eco. I have gotten a lot of requests to do a fountain pen video and or just like a pen video, and I hope to do that at some point, but I am not an expert. I am just figuring it out as I go. But I do love TWSBI Eco, and if you are in the market for a fountain pen to like try out, I highly recommend TWSBI Eco as a good starting point because it's not a high price point for a fountain pen, and they are super easy to load and clean compared to any other pens. So this one I inked it up with Ferris wheel press browned and buttered because I thought it looked really good with the pen, and I used that on these pages, and I really like how that one came out. And then again, I stuck with that pen for more just kind of journaling about what's going on in my days. I was home from the 24th through the 28th, so I had 5 days off in a row, and you can really see how much I was just like enjoying relaxing, being in my journal, and I just had a good time with it. Here was a new planner day, so it's the first Monday of the week that contains January 1st, so the first Monday of like the new planners. So I just journaled about that because this day I was moving into my weekly spreads in my taken out and everyday carry in my 2026 planner, so I was super excited about that. And then just putting like some micro stories in. Didn't finish the page, that's okay. Again, here, didn't finish the page, adding in screenshots and reviews. And then to finish off the year, I just did some journaling on New Year's Eve about like kind of what we were doing, what our plans were, adding in some screenshots again. And then at the end here, there's just a blank page, and I had this was just like a gift I got to celebrate that we're going to Tokyo in 2026. And then I realized I forgot to do my reflection using my December sticker, so I just added it under there. And that is a look at December in my Hobonichi Cousin for 2025. I have loved this book so much, and I'm super happy that I used it. I am super thankful to Hobonichi for creating such a great journal, but I'm ready to move on in 2026. I will share, like I said, another flip through of this entire journal if you want to see it kind of all at once with my overall reflections. But until that is live, I do have monthly flip through videos of this one and of the first half of the year as well. And I have a full flip through of the first half of the year. So there is definitely a lot of that content here. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye.